when you talk about connecting with the energy of money, connecting with the energy of, like you used the example last week or 2 weeks ago, maybe it was in the Tufty group, I don't remember, but of getting in that 5D space and connecting with the new body and releasing 60 pounds. I just heard another person who did the same thing, lost 50 pounds in 24 days. Connecting with that energy of freedom, connecting with the energy of abundance. I how do you connect with that? I meditate. I have had moments of that feeling like I'm in a different dimension and that kind of that opening, but it's not sustaining. It's not. And so I'm thinking, do I do that just during like a meditation when my mind is pretty much blank? And what is that process?
So there are a couple things that I do, and Siglinda can jump in here when we get to the time no time shift, because she's successfully doing it. She's the first person that I taught who actually could do it. So which is exciting for me, because not that I think I'm the only one who can do this, but that it was easily enough communicated that somebody else could pick up what's going on in my head. And so one of the things that I just did with a client who has a type of cancer is we went into her body and she entered each one of her cells. So there were 4 trillion of her dancing around in her cells, talking to her cells. She's a very vibrant person, and so this made complete sense for her. She was dancing around and she was talking to her cells, and she was, asking her cells to be healthy and vibrant. And we didn't go to the negative and say remove the cancer. We just focused on the positive. But that has been successful for her. She's been refusing to take medication, and her numbers have actually improved when she went to the doctor, who says you've got to take this medication, kind of thing. So that's one thing that I would do is, do you need a guided meditation, or can you guide yourself in an altered state?
And see, that's the point. The altered state, what is that? Is that just being a blank mind? I have not, I don't know if I have ever sustained that altered state that everyone talks about. And I think, am I making it too difficult? Am I misunderstanding this concept? What does that altered state feel like? What does it mean? Why do I not get that?
Well, have you ever caught yourself when you're falling asleep and you're not asleep yet because you can still sort of have thoughts, yes, but you're not awake?
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
In that altered state.
Okay.
So when I lost the 60 pounds, what I did is I said to myself, there is no time. And everything is particle, like right now you're seeing me as particles, but I'm also waves. And I'm particles depending on what you're focused on, or I'm waves depending on what you're focused on. So what I did is it's sort of like a self-hypnosis. I got into this altered state by saying I'm in a space of time, no time. And I just kept repeating that over and over again. I'm in a space of time, no time. And behind that, so that was just like repeating in a loop in my mind, like a record, over and over and over again. But behind that, I'm reminding myself there is no time, there is no space, and that I am wave. And then I said to myself, and it's a little different saying it with words than experiencing it. But basically what I said to myself is, I am living in a time where I wait a certain amount, because that is something that has happened, that has existed in my life. So what I really did is I shifted myself back to that time. And I've done that. I've healed myself physically. Jeff and Suglinda know this. I was diagnosed with a brain tumor some months ago, and I shifted myself right out of it, went for the MRI, and they're like, there's nothing there. So I've fixed my car, and then I'm going to have Suglinda jump in because she's used it on both appliances and her body. So if you want to jump in, Suglinda.
Yeah, so a couple of years ago, I had skin cancer in my face. And so I've been told that every time I get some kind of a breakout on my body that is not healing, I need to come in because they need to biopsy it because it's a bad sign. And according to statistics, once you have it, you'll keep having it, right? And I had this spot on my chest. And I kept putting ointments on it and everything I could do, and it was not going away. And it was like 2 months and counting, and it was just like angry, right? Nothing I did was working. And so I happened to mention it to Deborah, and Deborah taught me this technique, and she said, are you willing to try it? And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, it's better than going to the doctor and having a biopsy done, and then they need to do surgery because they need to make money, and I don't want to deal with that. And also I didn't want to deal with any doctor stuff right before the holidays. And he said, okay, I think this was somewhere in November, I believe, Deborah, you taught me this, or beginning of December. And I said, sure, I'm giving myself till January anyway. Well, by January, there was nothing there. As a matter of fact, within 2 days of doing this technique, it started peeling. And I was like, this thing hasn't moved in 2 months. Within 2 days, it started peeling. Within 2 weeks, you could see that it had been there. And then by the time January came around, it was completely gone. So, and then I also use it to fix my coffee maker. I thought it was a throwaway and I had to go buy a new one. And all of a sudden I'm like, wait, I got tools. And I tried it. And after an entire day of vinegar solutions, massaging the tubes, what have you, all the stuff that YouTube tells you to do, after an entire day of that, I just sat on the couch and I did Deborah's technique, and I went back and my coffee maker ran smoothly. So it was like, this stuff works.